The engagement party at the Riverside Ballroom was going exactly like everyone expected. The big room was sparkling with lights, and the air smelled faintly of flowers and champagne. There were 200 people there, all dressed in fancy clothes. The waiters were walking around with trays of champagne and little snacks, and soft music played in the background. My sister Zephra was in the center of everything, showing off her engagement ring like it was the most important thing in the world. It was a big, shiny ring. 2 carats set in platinum. Everyone gasped a little when they looked at it. My sister had told the story of her proposal at least 15 times that night, and she smiled and laughed every single time. But before I continue, hit the subscribe button and tell me where are you watching this from, and what time of day is it? Zephra's fiancé stood next to her, looking proud and slightly nervous. My parents were smiling, nodding, and asking all sorts of questions. They wanted to know exactly where Zephra had gotten the ring, what kind of gem it was, and how shiny it looked. Mom and Dad seemed so happy that Zephra had found someone to marry. They glowed with pride every time the story came up. I, on the other hand, was standing near the bar. I had a glass of red wine in my hand, and I was trying very hard to blend in. I said congratulations when people looked at me or talked to me, but mostly I stayed invisible. I didn't want anyone to notice me. I had been in the background for so many years, while Zephra always seemed to be in the spotlight. Then the door opened, and in came Uncle Caius. He looked around the room and smiled. He said, "Sorry I'm late, everyone. My flight was delayed." And just like that, everything in the room shifted. Caius wasn't just my dad's younger brother. He was a very smart businessman who had invested in technology companies in the 1990s. Some of those companies had become very rich, and so Caius had made a lot of money. He was also the only member of my family who had stayed in touch with me over the past 8 years, even though he lived far away in San Francisco, 3,000 miles away, to be exact. "Sorry I'm late, everyone," Caius said again as he walked through the crowd toward our family. He stopped first to hug Zephra, who squealed a little with excitement. He patted her fiancé on the back and shook his hand. Then he turned to me and opened his arms. "Eliana, it's so good to see you," he said warmly. His eyes were kind as he looked at me. "You look amazing. How's life in that $1.5 million house you bought? Is the neighborhood everything you hoped it would be?" The room went silent. You could hear a pin drop. Zephra's hand froze midair, still holding her engagement ring. Mom's champagne glass stopped halfway to her mouth. Dad's face turned pale, like someone had just scared him. "Caius, what house?" my dad whispered, confused. I took a slow sip of my wine. I felt a small smile on my lips. After 8 years of being ignored, of feeling like I didn't matter while Zephra's every achievement became a huge show, it felt good to finally have everyone's attention. "The house on Sterling Heights," Caius said casually, taking a champagne glass from a passing server. "Eliana bought it in 2016. It's beautiful. Craftsman style, big windows, and the mountain view is amazing. I saw it the last time I was in town." Zephra gasped. Her voice was sharp with shock. "Eliana doesn't own a house. She rents that tiny apartment near the university. I rented that apartment for about 2 years while I was doing my PhD," I said calmly. "Then I bought the house on Sterling Heights. That was 8 years ago." Dad's champagne glass wobbled in his hand. He had trouble holding it steady. "What are you talking about?" he asked, his voice tight. "I bought a 5-bedroom craftsman house for about $1.2 to $2 million in June 2016, I explained. It's now worth about $1.5 million based on the current market. Caius has been keeping an eye on it." The room went completely silent. Mom's hand went up to her throat. Dad looked like he had been hit by lightning. Zephra's perfect, practiced smile crumbled. "That's impossible," Mom said softly. "Where would you get over $1 million? I explained. "I put down $240,000 and borrowed the rest from the bank. I paid off the mortgage 6 years ago." Caius nodded approvingly. "Smart move. Eliana has always been good with money. She used her signing bonus from Helix Pharmaceuticals to pay off most of the mortgage in just 2 years." "Signing bonus?" Dad asked faintly. "That's the extra money a company gives you when you start a job," I explained. "I got $180,000 when I started at Helix, and I put it all toward paying off the house." Zephra's voice shook. $180,000? That's normal for senior positions in pharmaceutical research, I said. "My current yearly salary is $375,000, including bonuses and stock options." The room was completely quiet. Someone's champagne glass slipped from their hand, and crashed onto the marble floor. Mom looked like she might faint. $375,000 a year? Dad said, his voice barely a whisper. Yes, I said. Base salary is $280,000. Yearly performance bonuses average $60,000, and my stock options vested this year at about $35,000. Caius added, she's being modest. She also has another $420,000 in stock options that haven't vested yet, plus patent royalties. Patent royalties? Mom whispered. I hold 11 patents for ways to deliver cancer drugs, I explained. They give me about $95,000 a year. Zephyr's hand, still holding her engagement ring, began to shake. Her big ring suddenly looked very small. Mom and Dad were frozen, trying to understand this version of me that they had never really known. $3 million? Zephyr whispered, barely able to speak. I said quietly, about $3.2 million when you include my retirement accounts, investments, stocks, and cash. Mom's champagne glass slipped from her hands and crashed to the floor. She didn't even notice. You're a multimillionaire, I said. Most of it is invested or in houses. Then Caius's colleague, Dr. Serena, came over smiling warmly. Eliana, I didn't know you'd be here. Congratulations on the FDA breakthrough. That's incredible. Thank you, I said. We're very excited about the potential FDA breakthrough. Dad said faintly. FDA? The FDA gave our pancreatic cancer drug a breakthrough therapy designation 3 weeks ago, I explained. It means the approval process is faster. If everything goes well, we could get approval in 18 months instead of the usual 4 years. Serena smiled. Your work is going to save so many lives. Are you going to the conference in Geneva next month? Yes, I said. I'll be presenting our Phase 3 preliminary data. Mom whispered. International Oncology Research Symposium? Yes, I said. I'm giving the keynote talk on new ways to deliver cancer drugs. It's a big honor in my field. Caius scoffed a little, like he knew how important it was. Zephyr finally found her voice again, but it was sharp and defensive. Why didn't you tell us any of this before? I did tell you, I said quietly. Multiple times. You just didn't listen. That's not true, Dad protested. Actually, it is true, Caius said, setting down his phone. I have the emails Eliana sent me about it. November 2016, she told Mom and Dad about the house. Dad said she was being financially irresponsible. Mom asked if she could handle the maintenance. April 2018, she mentioned paying off the mortgage at Easter dinner. They asked if that meant she'd lost her job. Dad opened his mouth but couldn't find words. We didn't say that, Mom said weakly. You did, I said quietly. You assumed paying off a mortgage meant I'd lost my job, not that I had been financially successful enough to eliminate the debt. Mom's eyes filled with tears. She looked ashamed that she had misunderstood me. Dad's jaw was so tight I could see the muscle move. Uncle Caius continued as if nothing had happened. Eliana, have you decided about the lake house investment? What lake house? Dad demanded. There's a luxury property on Lake Serenity, Caius explained. 6 bedrooms, private dock, 3 acres. Eliana is thinking about buying it as a vacation rental property. Zephyr's voice was thin and nervous. Why would Eliana buy a vacation rental? For income diversification, Caius said. She already owns 4 rental properties plus her main house. This would be her 6th property. The room felt like it had exploded. Mom swayed on her feet, and Dad grabbed her elbow to steady her. Zephyr looked like someone had slapped her across the face. For rental properties? Mom whispered. Yes. Small houses in up-and-coming neighborhoods, I explained. I buy them at a low price, fix them up, and rent them to young professionals. I make about $1,800 per month from each house after all costs. That's $7,200 a month, or over $86,000 a year, plus the properties go up in value. Dad whispered the numbers to himself. His eyes were wide. Caius added, the properties have increased in value by 42% on average since Eliana bought them. Her total real estate equity is about $2.1 million. Boom. Another number hit the family like a thunderclap. Zephyr's hand holding the ring dropped to her side. Mom and Dad were frozen, trying to process a version of me that didn't fit the picture they had in their heads. $2 million in real estate, Dad said slowly. That's just the real estate, Caius corrected. Eliana's total net worth is closer to $3.2 million, including retirement accounts, investments, stocks, and cash. Zephyr's voice was a strangled whisper. $3 million? I nodded. Yes. These are estimates, but market changes could make it slightly higher or lower. Mom's champagne glass slipped and crashed again. This time she didn't even notice. You're rich, I said quietly. Most of it is invested or tied up in houses, I added to myself. Eliana was the youngest person ever to give a big speech at the symposium in its 40-year history. It was a very big deal. Everyone was impressed, and it made her feel proud, even though she didn't like the attention. Brooke's voice sounded bitter when she spoke. So you're just famous? Is that it? She asked sharply. I'm not famous, I said calmly. I'm respected for my work. That is different from being famous. Serena, who was standing nearby, nodded. Your work has been mentioned over 4,000 times. You have written 37 important research papers. You have changed how medicine for cancer is made. That is more than just respect. That is real brilliance, she said. The praise made me feel a little uncomfortable, but I appreciated Serena's support. It felt good to have someone notice my work. My parents looked completely shocked. Zephra looked like she might be sick. I need some air, Zephra said, pushing through the crowd and heading to the balcony. Her fiancé hesitated for a moment, looked between Zephra and our family group, then followed her quietly. My mother started to go after them, but my father gently held her back. Let them go, Patricia, he said quietly. We need to talk to Eliana. What is there to talk about? I asked, feeling frustrated. Uncle Caius spoke up. You didn't know I had a house? Now you do. That is the whole conversation. It's not the whole conversation, my mother said, her tears streaming down her cheeks. How can you have done all of this amazing work, and we didn't know about it? Because you never asked, I said simply. Every conversation about my life always turned back to Zephra. You assumed that since I wasn't posting on social media or trying to get attention, I didn't have anything important to share. Caius nodded in agreement. I've been watching this for years. Every phone call, every family gathering, it's always been about Zephra. Zephra's job. Zephra's boyfriend. Zephra's engagement. Eliana could be saving lives with her research, and you'd ask if Zephra wanted dessert, he said quietly but firmly. That's not fair, my father said softly. Isn't it? Caius asked. When was the last time you asked Eliana about her research? About her home, her life, her achievements? When did you ever celebrate her? When did you ever treat her like she had something important? The room became silent. My father looked away, and my mother cried openly, unable to speak. I can tell you exactly when, I said softly, my voice steady. It was 6 years ago at Thanksgiving. You asked about my research, and I started explaining my work on nanoparticles for cancer medicine. After 2 minutes, you interrupted me to ask Zephra about her new apartment. You haven't asked since. The memory seemed to make my mother break down even more. I'm sorry, she whispered. For what? I asked. For not listening, for not caring, for spending 8 years acting like Zephra was more important than you, she said. We love you both equally, my father said, his voice full of emotion. Do you? I asked. Can you tell me what company I work for, my job title, the disease I research, where I live, anything about my real life? The room was quiet for a long time. My father's jaw worked nervously. My mother's tears fell onto her dress. Finally, Uncle Caius spoke. Helix Pharmaceuticals. Director of Oncology Research. Pancreatic Cancer. 2847, Sterling Heights Drive. Eliana leads drug development that could save thousands of lives each year. We should have known all that, my mother said, her voice trembling. Yes, you should have, I replied calmly. My father's voice became rough. What do you want from us, Eliana? Nothing, I said honestly. I wanted you to be proud of me. I wanted you to be interested in my work. I wanted you to see me. But I stopped wanting that about 4 years ago when I realized it wasn't going to happen. Maybe it can happen now, my mother said softly, pleading. Can it? I asked. Or do you just want to brag about your millionaire daughter? Do you want to know me, or do you just want to show me off now that I'm successful? The words hit hard. My mother flinched. My father looked shocked. We never thought you were disappointing, my father said. You just thought I was less important than Zephra, I corrected. Less successful, less worthy of your attention and love. You were wrong. Catastrophically wrong. And you didn't know because you never bothered to look. Caius placed a hand on my shoulder. Eliana, maybe we should. I'm leaving, I said gently, cutting him off. This is Zephra's night. I shouldn't have come. Eliana, my mother said, reaching for me, but I stepped back. Enjoy the party. Celebrate Zephra's engagement. That's your thing, I said firmly. I walked toward the exit, my heels clicking against the marble floor. Behind me, I heard my mother call my name, but I didn't turn around. Uncle Caius caught up with me in the lobby. "You okay?" he asked. "I think so," I said. "That was harder than I expected." "You were perfect," he said. Calm, dignified, truthful. "They needed to hear that. They're going to call you. Tonight, tomorrow, soon, they're going to want to fix this." "Maybe," I said. "You don't owe them an easy reconciliation," he said firmly. "You spent 8 years trying to be seen. If they want a relationship now, they need to earn it." "What if they can't?" I asked. "Then you'll be fine," he said firmly. "You have an incredible career, financial independence, work that saves lives, and people who truly appreciate you. You don't need parents who only care after seeing your success." He was right. I knew he was right, but it still hurt a little. "Thank you," I said, hugging him tightly. "For seeing me, for being proud of me," he said. "You're the most accomplished person in this family. Don't let their blindness make you doubt that." I drove home to Sterling Heights, to my 5-bedroom craftsman house with mountain views and custom finishes. Inside, everything was exactly as I had left it. The home office where I reviewed research data and wrote papers that helped advance cancer medicine. The library is full of medical journals and textbooks. The guest suite where Uncle Caius stayed during his visits. The master suite with a spa bathroom and a large walk-in closet. Every room represented a choice I had made, a goal I had achieved, a dream I had fulfilled. Not for my parents' approval, but because it was the life I wanted. My phone started ringing. My mother. I let it go to voicemail. My father called. Voicemail again. A text from Zephyra. "You couldn't let me have one night?" I set the phone down. I walked through my house room by room. The kitchen where I had hosted dinner parties my parents had never attended. The backyard with a garden where I grew vegetables for the local food bank. The basement I had converted into a home gym and meditation space. The anger I thought I would feel didn't come. Instead, there was clarity, clean, cold, and freeing. I had built something amazing. I had achieved independence, professional respect, financial security, and meaningful work. I was changing the way cancer treatment worked. I was accomplishing things my parents couldn't even understand. And I had done it all without their support, despite them, in spite of them. I didn't need their approval to succeed. I never had. Tomorrow, there might be more calls, more attempts to fix things, more demands that I make them feel better about their mistakes. But tonight, I stood in my $1.5 million house, surrounded by 8 years of quiet, incredible achievement, and let myself feel the full weight of what I had accomplished, without them, despite them, and in spite of them.